You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
And welcome into the Braves POSTCAST, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. I'm Grant McAuley. He is Jake Mastroianni, and we come to you in the aftermath of a very frustrating loss for the Atlanta Braves, perhaps their most frustrating of the season, because this was quite simply a winnable game, and that did not happen for the Braves. And as a result, they lost a winnable series to the Los Angeles Dodgers after a 5-3 defeat in 11 innings. As always, we want to remind you to subscribe to the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta YouTube page. Enable those alerts so you'll get notifications whenever we drop a new episode. And make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts. Jake, as we both sat there for nearly 4.5 hours thinking, how did we get here? The Los Angeles Dodgers figured it was a good time to go ahead and sneak out of town with a series victory. This was a night of what-ifs and of just missed opportunities, I would say, more than anything.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but, as I kind of tweeted out after the game, I'm not getting hung up on this one. There's a couple of plays there at the end of that game that just went the Dodgers' way. I mean, a couple of balls that tip off the gloves of some corner infielders for the Braves. So, a very winnable game for them. Yes, it's frustrating, especially you got one out to get in the ninth inning and you don't come up with a win, and then losing extras, was the Braves do regularly in extra innings with the new rule. But it's frustrating, but there was so many good things for the Braves in this game that I think you can take away with going forward. That I'm not really getting hung up on this one. Yeah, it hurts, but I thought there were some really good positives for this Braves in this game.
Yeah, I would agree that there were some positives in it. Obviously, the loss kind of takes the edge off or the shine off of some of those. And I'm sure for fans, the most frustrating because you were an out away, in fact, a strike away from winning this game. And it just did go the Dodgers' way. A hit over the head of Matt Olson off his glove, a leaping play, and that allowed the game to get tied up, send us to extras, and then another just bizarre play off the glove of Austin Riley that it's one you had to go for. I mean, I know the broadcast talked about maybe that ball's going to go foul, but a big league third baseman is not going to wait to see if maybe the ball goes foul when it gets by him. He's going to try to make a play. And like you said, it just was the Dodgers' day in that regard. So as we look into this one, as we always do, we'll go inside the line score and the box score for that matter to get you caught up on what was game number 74 for the Braves and the finale of a 3-game series against the Dodgers. And LA improves to 45-26, 5 runs, 12 hits, and error, 12 men left aboard. Braves now 42-32, 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors, 12 men left. Craig Kimbrell picks up the win. He is now 1-3. Darren O'Day takes the loss. He is 1-2. Bruce Gratterall slammed the door for his first save. Game lasted 4 hours, 23 minutes. Good crowd. 42,217 were on hand to see it. No home runs in this game, Jake. And the big reason why was we saw the starting pitchers, and we were hoping for a good starting pitching matchup. And Spencer Strider more than delivered on his half of that. And Tony Gonsolin of the Dodgers was pitching well into the middle frames. And we kind of got what we expected if you looked at the marquee for this Sunday night battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Tony Gonsolin's a serious NL Cy Young contender. And, heard a lot of talk in this game with the Braves, not doing enough, breaking it over with runners in scoring position. They were going up against one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. So certainly understandable. I thought they actually did a good job of working him there in that 6th inning and getting him out of the game. I think more so the problem was they didn't get to the bullpen once he left enough to kind of add on there. But I thought they had some great at-bats against him. And like I said, we're able to get him out of there. But Spencer Strider, that is the takeaway for me in this game. Like I said, I thought there were a lot of positives in Spencer Strider, by far the biggest one for me in this game. And we were talking about what was he going to do, his last outing, a little bit rough. The velocity was there, and I don't know if this was intentional or not. I hope it was. If it is, I think this is a big step forward for Spencer Strider. But you saw him earlier in at-bats, 96, 97, 98. But then with 2 strikes or in a big situation, that's when you saw him hitting 100. And, if that's something that he can learn to do to kind of, I want to say throttle it back when you're throwing 97, 98. But, if you can do that and then just have 100 in your back pocket whenever you need it, that is certainly huge. But the fastball velocity overall was right back to where it has been at 98 miles per hour with his season average. So 16 swings and misses, just a great great start for Spencer Strider against a Dodgers lineup who I know is banged up and missing some key pieces, but still they have professional at bats up and down their lineup, as we saw late in this game. So a very impressive outing for Spencer Strider. And I love the emotion of him coming off the mound in that 6th inning, getting out of that jam. Snitker leaving him out there to get out of that jam, I thought was huge confidence for him as well. So I love this outing for Spencer Strider. It's why I'm trying not to think too much about the loss, just because of what this could potentially mean for him going forward.
Yeah, it's a big step forward. And if you worried about or wondered about if the Dodgers were going to put on a professional at bat, well, we saw that. We got a reminder. You always get a reminder from this club. Spencer's line in this one, though, they'll be remembering this. 6 innings of shutout ball, 5 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. As Jake mentioned, the velocity there when he needed it, pounded the strike zone. And I feel like, to your point, Brian Snitker allowing him to pitch through that trouble in the 6th inning. When I talked about after the last start, when he didn't last as long as he would have liked to against San Francisco, ran into consistent trouble and hit the showers early. There are lessons of all different shapes and sizes, and that was some big boy work from Spencer Strider in that 6th inning. And yeah, the emotion, he earned that after getting out of that jam without allowing a run to the Dodgers in that 6th and final frame for him. A top flight performance from the Braves' 5th starter, and big to be able to bounce back from the last start. We'll talk a little bit about the Braves' offense and the lack of offense later in the game in just a moment. Before we do, though, I want to let you know betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. You can find the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including all the MLB action and the latest fighting news from MMA to UFC to boxing. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. Head to the website or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Braves offense had done, I felt like, enough, and you put the ball in the hand of your closer, who had looked absolutely dominant the night before and blowing away his old team. Kenley Jansen gets right out there, strikes out the first 2 men, and then runs into 9th inning trouble. That's not something you see too terribly often from just about any closer, to get to, knocking on the door of ending this game. But if there's a club that knows Kenley Jansen, it is probably the Los Angeles Dodgers, as he gave up a multitude of hits with 2 outs. And next thing you knew, the Braves were having to play on into the bottom of the 9th inning, and ultimately it got all the way into the 11th. And just one of those nights where it felt like the Braves had almost sewn this thing up, but the Dodgers said, hey, not quite.
Yeah, and then we talk about it, and you heard Eduardo Perez say it at least 15 times. It is a game of inches,
Yes,
and
they're written
certainly,
down and circled here.
yeah, and it certainly was in that inning. You talk about the ball that Trace Thompson hit. He didn't even know where it went. It was so far off the end of his bat. I mean, if it's just half an inch over, it's strike 3 and the game's over. And instead, it goes to first base, where a little bit of a questionable. You're in the shift, I get it, but why do you keep pitching him away? And why is Matt Olson so far in on that play? That I don't understand. But either way, it goes off the glove of Matt Olson. And then I'm going to go back to Jansen, but going back to the extra innings, Freddie Freeman had the double to start the 10th. That ball landed on the white line. And then again, we talked about the ball that Austin Riley went off his glove. So just so many plays in this game is why I'm not really getting hung up on it. That could have gone the Braves' way. This game could have been over, could have won. But yeah, going back to Jansen, I mean, the biggest thing there is just, and the Dodgers, like you said, know him better than anyone. He can't hold on runners. And Chris Taylor just taking second base with no resistance at all comes back to bite the Braves there, because Trace Thompson does get that ball right over Matt Olson, and Taylor's able to score easy to second, and that really hurt the Braves.
Yeah, and it's one of those nights and one of those plays where sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, because, as you pointed out, Trace Thompson did not aim the ball over towards first base. He had no idea where that thing was. I mean, I watched it and I thought, he put it in play. What is he doing? And then I realized what had happened, and I guess the Braves realized what had happened as the ball got over the leaping Matt Olson, and next thing you knew, this game was all tied up. But it's just one of those nights where and Kenley Jansen knows this as well, or better than anybody, you have to be able to have a short memory as a high leverage reliever and a closer. And I'm sure he will look to employ that himself. And for the Braves, I mean, there haven't been too many of these in recent memory for this club. There might have been a few of these kinds of losses, the frustrating type, over the course of April and into May. But in June, the Braves have done a good job of avoiding these kinds of losses and of bouncing back when they do run into a speed bump here or there. And that's going to be the job as they get set to head up to Philadelphia. As far as the Braves run scoring in this game, it was a limited amount of that, but Marcell Ozuna, again, with an RBI single in the 6th inning, broke the scoreless tie. Austin Riley had the sac fly in the 9th inning. Matt Olson had the RBI double in the 10th inning. There were some things that went right, as you looked up and down. Multi-hit game for Michael Harris again. And how about the running catches by this kid? I mean, this game, I mean,
Unbelievable.
it didn't have to be 5-3. It could have been 8 or 9-3 if Michael Harris does not run down some of the baseballs that he did. Maybe not 9-3, but you know what I mean. It could have been worse than it was if Michael Harris doesn't make a couple catches, because then who knows? Maybe it does open the floodgates and there's a 5 or 6 run inning as a result.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the positives I had written down to take away out of this game. Just there's the one ball, I forget who hit it, that was in right center, like right in front of the wall. And I thought, oh, that's it. That might be gone or it's off the wall. And somehow he tracked it down. And you had the play coming in against Turner in the ninth inning to end that inning, or else they would have won it in regular 9 innings. So, I mean, there were just so many big catches, plays by him that were just so exciting. Makes you just even more excited to watch him going forward. But yeah, Ozuna back-to-back games with a big hit. Riley, I thought, had a big sac fly after falling behind in that count to take a go to pitch, away and drive it into center field for a big sac fly there and a big add-on run. Olson coming through with a big clutch hit. I thought that was huge for him in that 10th inning to tie it back up. So I don't want to hang on this too much, but the umpire in this game, a little bit of questionable calls, kind of both
Yeah.
ways. He was giving off the plate away to righties, and then all of a sudden it wasn't there later in the game. And there
Mhm.
were two at bats in particular. One with Matt Olson should have been ball 4 and could have been another run in that inning because they ended up scoring in that one. And then an at bat for Dansby after Michael Harris shoots the ball through, where Dansby had no chance in the at bat. There were 2 pitches way off the plate that weren't even close, and Dansby strikes out on 3 pitches, and you take the bat out of our best hitter. So again, I'm not trying to say that blew the game, but it was just something that I noticed in this when the umpire just a little bit inconsistent behind the plate in some key moments in that one. A couple other takeaway for me is Minter, nice bounce back game for him. I thought he was really great in the 8th inning, so that was big as well.
Well, and I think all of those, Jake, we may need to create it. It can be the Braves postcast comment box. And as far as umpiring is concerned, yeah, I'm going to leave one in the comment box as well. It was not consistent. Yes, both sides have to deal with it at times, but it's the fact that it's just selectively applied and you don't know when it's going to happen, but it always seems to have a way of happening at the times in which you can either least afford it or just weren't expecting it. But that is the nature of the beast, I guess, as long as we're going to stick with this and allow these kinds of nights and these kinds of things to continue happening. And I'm going to put my soapbox and the comment box away, and also throw out there that Atlanta, with this loss, does drop to 2-5 on the season in extras. Braves overall, 42 and 32, 10 games over 500. They've really turned their season around here as we head into the final series of the month of June. If you're looking at the standings heading into the off day on Monday, the Mets lost on Sunday, so you lost the opportunity to win the series and win this game, but also to pick up a game on the New York Mets, who maintain a 5-game lead over the Braves in the NL East. Let's take a look at what's going on for the Braves as they head out on the road after an off day on Monday. They'll roll into Philadelphia on Tuesday. They have not yet announced a starter, at least they had not before this 4.5-hour marathon game. But it'll be Zach Wheeler who's been announced for the Philadelphia Phillies to start. He is 6-4 with a 2.77. He'd get game 1 on Tuesday. I believe it's Charlie Morton's day to pitch on Tuesday. If in fact that does play out, we'll see if the Braves have announced that sometime soon, or if that happens on the off day, or just in case they wait till Tuesday. Either way, we won't solve that mystery here tonight, but Zach Wheeler's been a mystery to hitters over the past couple of years, and he's putting up another great season, Jake.
Yeah, and the Phillies are hot. Went out to San Diego and had a really good series, and they just lost Bryce Harper as
Yep.
well. Hate to see that for him. A lot of up and in pitches that had some disgruntled players over the weekend. A brawl out there in Seattle and LA, as well as Mike Trout took one up in the eyes and was not happy about that. So hate that for the Phillies. Hate that for Bryce Harper, but that'll be a big note going into that series, which is going to be a big series. The Braves an opportunity to try to create some distance between them and Philadelphia, who's right on their heels.
As I mentioned, Zach Wheeler, a sub-3 ERA, 6-4 his record. The Phillies rotation boasts 2 of the better starters in the National League. And of course, they're both in the National League East as they pitch for Philadelphia, because that's how geography works, because you've also got Aaron Nola on this staff. So if you're looking for reasons why the Phillies have gotten hot here in the month of June and have been on a run akin to what the Atlanta Braves have been on, you can point at their starting pitching staff for making some big contributions to that. And the Braves will see Zach Wheeler in the opener of the series. Bryce Harper, though, who knows? His season may be over with a fractured thumb. He also has been dealing with that UCL injury. I don't know if this would change the timetable of maybe getting that examined or looked at or getting that surgery, but we'll find out. I think if Bryce Harper sees a door for a time to play again this season, he's probably not going to close it, at least in the initial aftermath of this injury. But for the Phillies, they're going to have to figure out a way to deal without the reigning National League MVP and a guy who arguably, or at least statistically speaking, was having a better year this year than he had last year when he won the MVP. So that's how things look. But it's going to wait a day because Tuesday is game one. Braves are off on Monday after concluding this 3-game series against the Dodgers. It'll be 7:05 p.m. Eastern time at Citizens Bank Park as the Braves and Phillies open up that series, and we close out the month of June as well. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Braves Postcast, part of the all-new Locked On Sports Atlanta. Make sure you subscribe here to the YouTube channel and subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. And as always, I'm Grant McAuley. He's Jake Mastroianni. We wish we had better news for this particular one, but unfortunately, the Braves come up short in extra innings. 5-3, the Dodgers take it, and the Dodgers take the series, and they put a bow on what was an emotional weekend at Truist Park for Freddie Freeman and company. And we will turn the page on that. He will hopefully turn the page on all of those emotions and get back to playing some baseball, and we'll be doing it after the off day on Monday. Thanks for joining us tonight. We look forward to catching you soon for another edition of the Braves Postcast. Until then, so long, everyone.